Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and a warm welcome to our webinar. I'm Alka Gupta, Director of Marketing at AllRide Apps, and I'll be your host today for today's event. I'm so delighted to witness a remarkable turnout of participants hailing from different corners of the globe. This webinar is an opportunity for us to come together and share our knowledge and insights on how to deliver smart mobility with route optimization. You can share your questions in the QA section. We'll take them towards the end of the webinar. It is my pleasure to introduce our esteemed speakers for today's event. First, we have Pascal Bobelin, Director of Alliance and International Sales at Nomadia. Pascal brings over 25 years of experience in developing IT solutions. His software industry management expertise includes negotiating complex contracts, managing sales teams, and collaborating with professional service consultants. Pascal specializes in field service management, routing and scheduling, Salesforce, geomarketing, SaaS, and GIS. With exceptional leadership and industry knowledge, he is a valuable asset in driving growth and delivering outstanding results for Nomadia and its client. Next, we have our very own Swarnendu De, co-founder and co-CEO of AllRide Apps and InnoFile Solutions. Boasting an impressive 15-year tenure in the industry, Swarnendu superheads the technical and business development operations for both the organizations. Notably, Swarnendu is also a distinguished author, having penned multiple books in this field. So, without further ado, let's get started. Please join me in giving a warm welcome to our esteemed speakers. Over to you, Swarnendu.
Thank you so much, Alka, for the warm welcome. Thank you so much, Pascal, and all the attendees. It is such a pleasure to have all of you in this webinar about smart mobility with route optimization. So today we are going to talk about a few basic aspects of a route optimization, what route optimization is, how it works, what are the challenges it solves, and how different businesses are using it. We are going to go through a set of case studies, and at the end we are going to go through a good number of question answers from you and from different parts of the world, the type of questions we receive from different type of audiences. So before we jump into the discussion of route optimization, Pascal, I would like to learn a little bit about you in terms of how you have started working into route optimization, whatever challenges generally you see, why the concept of route optimization came and why it is so important in the world today.
Thank you, Swarnendu. It's a pleasure to be with you today. I'm very excited to participate to this event with you. So many things to say about smart mobility and route optimization. What we can say on Nomadia is we can see multiple aspects of route optimization. It can be for large accounts, very big companies, or for startups, or with only a few drivers, and all of them can be interested by the route optimization. And what we can see the challenges today, the route optimization is something that will help the organization to face different challenges. It can be for the to increase, of course, the profitability and the efficiency of the teams. It will help also to decrease the CO2 emissions and environmental impact, and it can help also to increase the loyalty of the drivers and the customer satisfaction. So a lot of challenges the company who have some people in the field have to meet, and route optimization is one of these aspects. Yes.
Right. Wonderful. So Pascal, the audience, we do not know exactly what type of audience is there, so we are going to get started with understanding the very basics of route optimization. Maybe a lot of our audience do not exactly know what the concept is, right? So we would like to get an understanding of what route optimization is and how it works, right? So in terms of the concept, the optimal route, can you tell us about what this optimal route is? What is this concept of route optimization?
Yes, sure. This concept, there is a general concept, and of course it can vary from one industry to another. But generally speaking, what we call an optimal route is a route that will take into account the reality of the roads, the traffic, the speed, and the speed for cars and the speed for different for speed for trucks. Some forbidden areas in France, in Europe, there is some low emission zones, so some cars are not allowed. So you have to take into account this aspect of the field, and also the constraints of your drivers, the working time. He starts from his home. He starts from a depot. So some constraints of the drivers, and some constraints of the clients, or you have to visit. You have to deliver a good or to visit a client. It has to be between 8 a.m. and 5 p.m. or only the morning, only the afternoon, Monday to Friday, only the weekend, during the night. So a lot of aspects to take into account, and with the optimization engine, you take into account all those aspects to have an optimal route. So an optimal route is different from one client to another.
Absolutely. And we can see that it is not only about reducing the total driving time, right? And there are multiple aspects which are associated. There are different types of variables that needs to be considered at the time of route optimization. Like there are delivery time windows, there are vehicle load capacity, right? There are different type of drivers schedule, and then traffic congestion is there, and there are different type of calamities like accidents on the road, right? So all these things are associated with the route optimization, right? Now,
exactly.
in terms of
sorry to interrupt, and also the weather for some business, the weather forecast can be important. In some countries, you have some snow, and so you cannot drive easily for certain cars. So also the weather prediction can be an aspect for the route optimization for some countries and some industries.
Absolutely. And then in terms of the concept that came for route optimization, most of the businesses, right, who are not using route optimization, manual routing is still fine up to a certain level. After that, there are challenges, right? Once there are more people to take care of, there are more trips, there are more tasks to be taken care of, manual routing may not work, right? So what are the challenges you have seen businesses face when they are only dependent on manual routing?
Yes, manual and intelligence of the scheduler is still important. He knows the reality, and what we say. We do not replace completely the manual routing, but we add efficiency and productivity. So I would say the tasks that are I would say boring or annoying to do will be automated by the optimization engine. But of course, we cannot meet everything with the automatic routing, and there's still some place for the intelligence of the scheduler and his knowledge. But what we can help is to take into account, as I mentioned before, multiple constraints for the drivers, for the clients, and the roads. So it's a lot of constraints which are difficult to manage with a human being. So our optimization engine will help definitely, but it cannot do everything, and there's still some space for for the man or the woman who knows the reality of the business, and we can adjust and tackle manually, I would say, some exceptional tasks to find.
Absolutely. And we have seen that in general, when we are working with all these different type of businesses who are into transport management or who are into car rental or delivery management, we have seen that in general, human beings, they are very good at solving problems. In general, whenever the number of management, like number of routes to manage, they are very good at understanding different types of different type of factors, and they are able to come up with the optimized most optimal routes, right? But then there are different types of aspects to be taken care of. A particular manager who is handling the routes, they have to juggle different type of capabilities in terms of business priorities, making tough decisions when there are conflicting priorities, right? And there are multiple information they have to work on, right? So there is a limit till when they can do it manually. Right? To give you an example, if there are 10 stops or 10 destinations, there can be more than 36 lakhs of ways to connect them all. So that is how the permutation combination comes, right? And then if there are 15 destinations, the number of possible routes can be 1.3 trillion. Right? So that is the theoretical aspect, right? In reality, probably the numbers are less, but it is still a good number where it becomes very difficult to come up with this most optimal routes, right? So that is where the concept of route optimization comes, and it solves, right, something. There are manual errors that a system can solve automatically.
Exactly, and what I can add to that, so I completely agree with you, Fernando. What I can say also is the optimization engine. So we have quite a few years of experience in different industries, and so now we manage, I would say, between 150 and 200 business rules in the engine. So a lot of rules that are difficult to manage all of them at the same time for a human being. So maybe more for large accounts, a lot of constraints to take into account, and it's difficult, and that's what we can help. And also for the speed of the roads and the traffic, it's not easy for a human being also to take that into account.
Exactly. So that is how this concept came, and route optimization was there. The concept was there for pretty long, right? But with the advent of new technologies, right, the smart technologies which are coming up with artificial intelligence, and the more we can collect data, we are able to come up with much better decisions, right? And there are there are two cases we have. This is a pretty known problem, the traveling salesman problem. That is the challenges of finding the shortest and the most efficient route for a person to take, right, for a list of specific destination. That's something we see a lot in field management services, right? That is there, and there is a vehicle route management, vehicle route problem as well. So there are these two specific use cases where we have seen that the concept of route optimization comes up, right? So just want to understand in terms of how the concept of route optimization work, right? How does it work technically? That is something we would like to understand in the next slide. Okay, before that, let us quickly. Okay, let's go to the. We'll come to how the route optimization works at a later point of time, but we are going to see that how the technicalities of route optimization works, how we collect the data, and how the whole process works out, so that we get a clarity that it is not a very simple concept. There are multiple algorithms, there are multiple data combinations that we need to look into, and continuously we have to improve that in order to come up with the most possible routes. So here we are going to just get an understanding of different type of industries and businesses who are using route optimization, right? And transport and logistics is going to be probably one of the major industries where route optimization is so important, right? So Pascal, what is the type of businesses you have been working with? Where do you see that the the route management is most important?
It's important in a lot of yes, as you mentioned, in a lot of business, in a lot of in industries. But you're right. For the first two, I would say e-commerce and transportation and logistics, it is very important. If I take the example of e-commerce, where we have multiple clients, I would say the route optimization is part of the whole process, coming from the order of the client to the satisfaction survey at the end of the delivery. So the route optimization for the e-commerce, yes, it is highly strategic, and it's an advantage, a competitive advantage for the companies to have a powerful and efficient route optimization solution, and it helps for the customer satisfaction, and to have the good delivered on time with the good slot, and to respect the slot which has been announced previously to the customer. Yes, it's really important. It's also important for the field service management. So field service, we are at Nomadia, we are also expert on this part. So we are in the Gartner Magic Quadrant for field service, and we have a dedicated tool for that, and which take into account route optimization, but also some field service specific features. And for field service, what we can see is what is important to have is, I would say, a real-time optimization. The client is calling. You want to repair your heating material, or your AC, or your AC, and you need something when it's very cold. You need to have your heating repaired very quickly. So there is a real-time route optimization, and the engine will try to plan the intervention as quick as possible, taking into account also the existing plannings. So you need real time, and you need also what we call batch optimization. So you have all the constraints, all the clients to visit, and you will produce automatically an efficient planning for your technicians. So that's also a use case, and we have a lot of clients in this industry. Yes, I was seeing also public transportation. It's another use case. It's bus transportation, so it's pick up and drop. You have to pick up from some children, for example, school transportation, and you have to drop them at some school. So it's also a different use case, and to manage the capacity also of the bus, of the public transport. It's also a challenge to take that into account.
That's true. So everywhere, wherever we are seeing that there is someone who has to go to multiple destinations, right? Everywhere we are seeing that now all these businesses are coming up with this concept, right? They are trying to avail this capability in which they will be able to have an optimized routes, right? So there are bigger companies, bigger sales companies. There's a bigger sales force, right? And they have a lot of tasks defined. They have to visit their client space, and multiple times they have multiple, in a single day they have to visit multiple different destinations, right? And in those cases, it is seen that they are looking for route optimization, and that has been there for pretty long. And now all these different type of use cases, like with AllRide, we work with a good number of airport transfer companies, right? And all these airport transfer companies, they are taking a lot of people in buses, in cabs, okay, and they're taking them to hotels and other locations, other destinations, and they find that it becomes basically, all of them are there in the city, so it becomes very difficult to find the optimized routes. And after a certain point of time, it becomes very difficult for their managers to take a decision that how to define these routes, right? So at that time also they are saying that it becomes easier for us, show us how we can help. And whenever we are implementing this optimized route concept, the automatic assignments and accordingly route planning is giving them a much better efficiency, much better operational efficiency throughout the day. So that becomes one of the major areas. It is not only these industries. There's a huge number of industries that are continuously using this. Right, there are transportation network company, and then there are healthcare and medical services companies, and then construction and contractors are there, and utilities, energy services companies. So there are so many different type of businesses are utilizing it, but a lot of them are doing it manually. But eventually, slowly, they are now moving towards utilizing technology and having more smart capabilities in route planning.
I think I completely agree with you. And sometimes what we can see for the clients is to start. Usually, you don't have to solve all your problems all your challenges immediately with the route optimization. The idea is to start and to grow progressively. Maybe at the starting point, you will automatize, I don't know, 50 or 60% of your business with the route optimization, and the rest will be manual. And then you learn with the tool, and you grow progressively to reach 95% of the route to be optimized. But it will not be a one shot to do everything. You can go progressively, and we have some tools for that. We have a large range of tools. Some are quite simple with a few hours of training. Some it's more project based, and to reach a high percentage. But it cannot be everything from one day to another. It can take time if your business is complex. It's less time if your business is more simple.
That's true. And the way I think all these fleet management companies or different type of delivery management companies are utilizing it, they have a system, right? There's a complete system. So all these companies have a pretty big systems, right? And then route optimization is just one part of it, where you can take the data, right, and you can integrate that even via an API, right? And that via that API, this particular route optimization system is going to continuously show you that how you can improve the routes or improve the data, right? And that can be integrated with your own setup, whether it is your own system or you are using a complete management system or an ERP system that is there. Route optimization comes up with certain information, certain data. After that, it becomes the system's capability to see how to utilize that data, how to utilize those decisions and put that into other actions. Like so, in terms of assigning delivery drivers, assigning trip drivers, right? It becomes the system's responsibility to do that. While the route optimization API or whatever concept that we are using, that will continuously feed that how that specific decision can be improved.
Yes, absolutely. We have some startups who do not have ERP and CRM, so you can use a tool with an Excel or CSV file to import, and it's very easy. And when the organization is bigger, of course there is an existing IT system, and so the route optimization is, I would say, it's an extension of the IT, and it has to integrate easily thanks to some connectors or some API. So the data come from the ERP and go directly to the route optimization system, and then go back to the ERP. So we have multiple possibilities, from very simple to more on the shelf to more integrated solution. But yes, I would say it's an extension of the IT and in the organization. And when the organization have route optimization, it's part of the business, and it's as important as the other softwares of the company.
That's true. And when we talk about this to a different type of businesses, or if a business is coming to us asking for optimizing their present situation, and we tell them that route optimization can help, we can see that majority of them have only an idea that route optimization or can help them only in one or two ways. But there are more ways a route optimization can help any transport or delivery or last mile delivery business. So we just try to see that what are the challenges in general overall, and optimized route will help, right? It is not only, as Pascal has mentioned, it is not only, it is still a very small part of it, but yet the impact is there in multiple aspects, right? So the majority is the first and most important is obviously the inefficient routes, right? That is something it helps with, and then improving that, adding efficiency to that, immediately impact the time management, right? So time management, and then there's vehicle and resource utilization. So vehicle and the drivers, the delivery drivers or any type of drivers, their utilization increases significantly. So Pascal, the type of businesses you are working with, what are the major challenges they face, and how much of that is taking majority of their, how much that is impacting their revenue and expenses?
Of course, the fuel cost in Europe has been is still, but it has been so spectacular in the recent months. So it has been, and it's still a challenge. So if you optimize the kilometers, you will decrease the fuel costs. So it is a challenge. But I would say, and it has increased also recently, the shortage of the delivery drivers. It's difficult to find some efficient and drivers. And surprisingly, the route optimization tool will help to keep your drivers working with you, because you will give them an efficient tool. They will have a modern tool. So because there's also usually there's a mobile app coming with the route optimization software, so the driver has an efficient app. It's pleasant to work with, and also he will have less time in the traffic. And we know that when you're a driver, having some time in the traffic is so unpleasant. So if you give him some tools to be more productive and less time in the traffic, it can help to keep your drivers. And I would say some modern tools, up to date with a nice interface. It's also important. And of course, environmental impact is so important now. We can see multiple clients saying that they absolutely want to decrease their impact. And with our tool, we can calculate, also estimate the CO2 emissions after entering some information about the vehicle in the tool. So to measure the environmental impact is also something, of course, that we have seen in the last years, increasing very, very fast.
Absolutely. And then there are certain cases, like we work with a good number of travel companies and tour companies, and then, as I mentioned, about airport transfer companies. And they mentioned that there's a lot of cases, there are certain cancellations, right? There are cancellations, there are delay in flight timings, right? And all these different type of factors make it very difficult for them to make the related changes in whatever they have already planned, right? So they have their plans there in terms of who will be taking for a particular set of customers from one place to another, right? All these different type of changes come in a very, very dynamically, right? And these changes come suddenly, and it becomes very difficult for a business to accommodate these changes. And if they are trying to do it, in a lot of cases, all these bigger companies also, they mention that when you are trying to accommodate these changes, it becomes a very complex scenario to do all this. And even if they are able to solve it, it shows that there has already been a delay in getting this done, right? And that delay impacts the customer experience significantly, because the customers, they are already not very happy with the delay that they have already faced, or because of flight delay and all. And then if they are seeing that there are further delays coming from the transport company also, that becomes a lot of issues, right? So that is one of the areas this type of tools helps a lot, right? Whenever there's a new order coming up in between suddenly, or there are cancellations, or there are sudden traffic disruptions, right? All these tools can dynamically adjust the routes real time, and then that accommodate the changes and provide the updated routes almost immediately. And that is a big deal, right? Doing these things manually becomes almost impossible, where these dynamic changes make it makes life very easy.
Yes, you're absolutely right. And we have both. We have two ways of managing that aspect. It can be by the scheduler, who will give some updated information to the driver, or it can be the driver himself, thanks to the mobile app. If there are some unexpected event, as you mentioned, a cancellation of or some unexpected traffic, and then the app will calculate, I would say, optimize the routes, maybe adding some new tasks, and it gives some I would say some autonomy to the driver to manage it by himself, because he knows the field. He is working every day, and he can be very happy also to have a tool that help him to be more autonomy, instead of waiting some I would say instructions from the HQ. So yes, we manage that with both with two different ways, from the scheduler or directly by the driver.
That's true. And then there are certain cases, certain routes are very complex, right? Depending on how you are planning it, specifically in the city conditions, right? So there are you have to consider a very big number of route stops or destination. At that time, the complexity becomes very difficult. Specifically for logistics sectors or for public transportation, it becomes very difficult. And we have seen that we have been working with so many different types of maps: Google Maps, Here Maps, Waze Maps, and they have their limitations, right? They will not be able to do it beyond a certain point, right? At that time, it becomes very complex, and we have to depend on historical data, right? Along with that, the algorithms must be done doing that very efficiently, that it will be considering all the different types of possibilities and putting permutation and combinations to find the most optimal routes.
Exactly. We part from Nomadia, so we are focused on the software and the optimization engine, and we partner for more than 20 years with Here Maps, which is the leader in B2B, and they cover almost all the countries in the world, and they provide some very accurate information, as you mentioned, historical traffic information, the different speeds according to the vehicles. So we work with them. We have also up-to-date information, and it's so important when you route optimization to have an accurate and up-to-date information about the roads and the speeds. Yes, exactly.
Wonderful. So it shows that we are able to understand that the type of challenges route optimization can solve, and it is not only one or two areas like efficient routes, right? Everything is connected, and once you are able to help, having an efficient route, it is going to impact the productivity, it is going to impact the time utilization, and a lot of things. Ultimately, it is going to impact a lot in the expenses and the revenue. Okay, so that is one of the reasons route optimization is such a popular term today. So let us get an idea, it's a little bit technical, to get an understanding of how route optimization works. Okay, and there are certain steps are taken in order to get this done. Internally, the system does a lot of calculations and puts a lot of different type of algorithms, and continuously, if you look into different type of research papers, for the last 30-40 years, there have been a lot of research papers coming up almost every year, where there are different types of mechanisms, different types of algorithms are coming up, how to improve that, how to have a more intelligent system, right? So let us get an idea of how route optimization works a little bit technically. So first of all, the way it does it, the first step is to gather the necessary input data, right? That is going to be having information about different types of locations, all the types of locations, all the stops that needs to be taken care of, the geographical coordinates, right? And then the quantity of the demands of that in each stop, right? Different type of time windows, vehicle capacities, and their road network data. All this different information are taken into account. Okay, and all this information are continuously put in the system. So once the system starts working, that will also start collecting the data. But before that also, any system, suppose you are working with AllRide or Nomadia, you have to provide all this information to them so that they can design the system. They can put all this information in the system, right? Once that part is done, the next step will be to create the model, right? So once you put all this data, the system internally is going to create a mathematical model that's going to represent the problem, right? And then we are going to also see that what is the objective of this solution, right? What we are trying to achieve, such as minimizing travel distance or travel time, or maybe reducing the cost, right? And then there are different type of factors, as I mentioned, that time windows, vehicle capacities, all of them together. Now the system is going to try to find out that what we are going to do with this data, how we are going to utilize this data to find out the get the work done. Next comes the algorithm, right? And there are different types of algorithm already being created, and different companies with different type of algorithms, and these algorithms are based on all these different types of theories that are being proven for for so many number of years, right? So different types of algorithms are put in order to to understand the complexity of the problem, and then finding out the desired level of optimization, right? And there are different types of algorithms, like nearest neighbor, there are insertion algorithm, there are genetic algorithm, colony optimization, there are ant colony theory. Different type of algorithms are put into the system to see that what type of data or whatever results we are getting, right? And they are continuously evaluate all this information that are collected to find out what is giving us the maximum efficiency. Once the algorithm is selected, right, after that the solution is generated, right? After the algorithm is created, it generally creates the initial solutions of the routes, right? It can be created randomly or developed based on a certain predetermined strategy. But then this algorithm evaluates every solutions, right, and sees that if the objective is being made, that is something we have put in the system. Once that is there, the solution we have, now we can start working with this solution. Now we can start with this route optimization concept, the strategy that we are going to utilize for this. And then once the system runs, it starts collecting the data, as we mentioned, and continuously putting that information into the system. And that data is, based on this data, we'll be able to probably try out few more algorithms and try to see that if we are able to improve it, right? So that's where it comes out, evolution and comparison. So all these things together, when you are continuously putting this system, at a point of time, the system is able to find out that it is now maximum optimized. Okay, the system will still correct the data, but the algorithm is giving the maximum efficiency. Then it is terminated, and then continuously the work is being done. Now we know that for this specific business or company, the algorithm and the process is safe. Now the system is going to work continuously and keep on providing us the optimized routes. So this is kind of a generic concept. I'm sure that it differs. Different types of tools may utilize a few different more capabilities, but in general, these are the steps taken in order to initiate and finish up the route optimization process. Pascal, you have been this is something probably your technical team has more information about, but then any feedback on this in terms of how it is done, or since when you have started this and how your system is continuously evaluating and improving it?
Yes, I completely agree with you, and we manage with the technical teams. They manage all those aspects. Maybe what we can say also, it has to be fast. It has to calculate faster and faster each year. We have the Black Friday has come, so we work for example, in France, we work with the number 2 e-commerce company, and the volume have increased so much in a few years with the Black Friday. So we have to manage all of that, and of course, much more quicker, especially during the COVID, when the e-commerce has increased a lot than the previous year. So the speed also is important, and it's important, and so the calculation, the IT behind that, it's very important. So the scheduler or the driver doesn't have to wait for a result. There's a lot of tasks, as you can see here, but it has to be, I would say, transparent for the for user. And to be transparent, you need a powerful solution. Yes.
That's true. So once we know that, all this, the process that works out, we can get an understanding, and we have done a little bit of research about how route optimization impacts, right? And in terms of if you are having doubts about the numbers, we can show you in the next slide that how it helps different aspects, right? The transportation costs, and all these data are collected based on the research, right? And these are based on certain data, certain research has been already produced by the industries, right? So the impacts of route optimization, it says that it reduces the transportation cost by at least 5 to 20%. It minimizes the travel distance and the reduced fuel consumption at least 5 to 30%, right? So all of these things, the reduction in cost are going to directly impact the revenue. The time saving is more than 10 to 30%. So that's a pretty big deal, right? So whether it is for delivery, it is for service operation, it is for transportation, everywhere, all this data, the time saving is significantly high. So all these top delivery businesses, all these transportation businesses, Uber, Lyft, Uber Eats, all these businesses are continuously utilizing such a capability to ensure that their big workforce is able to get the maximum efficiency from that. And then all these three things immediately impact the productivity gains, right? And which is more than 20 to 30%, right? And these data are not just put, these data are all researched, and these data are coming from the feedback from different type of companies. And then emission reduction is not something probably people used to consider, but now it becomes a huge area. So at that time, emission reduction, that is almost 10% to 30%. That is a big deal, right? So Pascal, all this data, I'm sure that you are continuously seeing that when you are working with all your different types of business, all your customers, right? So what is the feedback you are receiving from them?
Yes. Those figures we can see also from our customers. Sometimes I remember big utility companies, they have doubled the quantity of visits per day per technicians, from 4 to 8 visits per day, and in the same time they have decreased the kilometers. So you can have both. You can have decrease of kilometers and much more clients to visit. So sometimes it can be much more than the impact can be much higher than what we can see on the screen. But on the average, I agree. This is what we see from our clients. It depends, of course, from an industry to another. And some clients, even if it's manual, they are extremely well organized, and some others are not organized as well. What we can say is we can see very quickly in the trial of our tool some simulation. So it's quite easy to estimate the impacts with a few data to import within the tool and to measure the kilometers decrease, for example, or the CO2 emissions. But yes, I agree. We have those kind of figures. It can be much higher in some in some cases, and surprisingly, it can be with very big companies. And usually, those impacts, it's come from a whole process implementing a route optimization, but it's also thinking about the whole process. What we can say is that we help organization to ask some questions about how they are organized, and they will optimize the route, but also optimize a lot of process close to the route optimization. Yes.
Absolutely. So all these things, the data that we are showing here are generic and average data, but for certain businesses, if the impact is huge, certain businesses, the impact may not be huge, but in every way, whoever company, whatever type of industries or businesses who are utilizing multiple routes, multiple stops, they see that depending on technology and utilizing mathematical models are always giving them an efficiency that will reduce their cost and that will immediately impact their revenue.
And what if I may, yes, maybe sometimes also we work with some clients to organize the territories before the route optimization is to organize the territories of the teams, because sometimes you have a driver going yes, having some clients to visit very far from one to another or very far from his home. And also so this is something we can see also is organization will try to better organize the territories of the driver, of the sales reps according to the driving time, but also according to the potential, to the clients to visit, to some prospects. And then when the territories are organized, the route optimization has a lot of impact. So it can be the combination of two aspects, territory management and route optimization, that can give some high level of return on investment for the organization.
Absolutely. Wonderful. So with that, we can go to a certain set of question answers, and we have already enabled the question answer from our audience as well. So let us see the type of set of questions that generally people ask, right? When we are already working, or they have questions who are already into this business and they are thinking of utilizing route optimization. So the first question, as I mentioned, that a lot of these businesses ask us this question: that isn't Google Maps route optimization enough? Pascal, what do you think?
What I think it's generic. It's quite generic, so it's the same setting for all the industries, and sometimes I would say most of the time it's not enough. So it can give some help, but according to me, it's difficult to have the return on investment we could see in the previous slide, because it's too generic.
That's true. And also there is a limitation. Google Maps in general, I am not sure about other maps, but Google Maps has a limitation of adding not more than 10 stops probably, right? And maybe that changes, but in general also, Google Map is not a route optimization. I mean, they didn't put a lot of effort in optimizing or providing the routes. They may provide you the optimized routes that the way we see for particular traffic condition, but it doesn't consider all the different types of aspects in terms of, as we discussed, there's a timing window, there's a business cases. So maybe a particular route optimization tool is going to consider not more than 5 to 6 factors, where Google is probably only considering, or any map company is going to only consider not more than 1 to 2 factors. So you may not get the most effective information. Plus, all these map tools are not going to continuously take your data into account and improve the result. Okay, so that is something you have to consider. I will request the audience to please keep on adding your questions. We are going to go through one by one. So I can see that Alex has asked a question, that is AI used in route optimization, and what does the future looks like for using AI in routing? Pascal, your views.
Yes, we use AI within. We have some data scientists in the research and development. So we use that for multiple aspects. What we have done for one client, we have used AI to estimate the duration of a task for a technician, because it's not always the same. It's difficult sometimes to estimate the task duration of a technician. You have multiple parameters. So we have used successfully this aspect with an AI survey before implementing the route optimization software. And it's only the beginning of the stories. We have more and more data scientists in our research and development team to also use AI for them in the future. Yes.
Wonderful. I hope, Alex, that covers your question. So the next question that a lot of people ask, right, and that is something we had a discussion, we mentioned earlier also. So in general, route optimization capabilities, the question is, can I add route optimization capabilities to my present fleet or delivery management system? And if we do that, what are the different ways of doing that?
Yes. We say, as we mentioned before, we have some APIs, some connectors, with also with some fleet management systems, some of the big ones. I speak about Nomadia, but yes. So yes, thanks to API and connectors, it's pretty easy to integrate the route optimization within the existing system. Of course, it has to be discussed more in details to see the IT environment. But we have on Nomadia, what I can say, we have done that multiple times. Yes.
Exactly. So our route optimization, as Pascal has mentioned, that either you can have a system with route optimization already integrated, or you can utilize. There are so many different type of route optimization companies and their APIs, and their capabilities can be integrated to your own system. That will need certain customization. That may need some. It can be easier or complex depending on the type of operation that you are running, but it is not a big deal. Okay, and almost all these companies use certain APIs. There are companies like Nomadia. There are some companies who are specifically working on these areas, and their APIs, their capabilities are very, very, very strong, that can be integrated with any ERP system. With that, let's go to the next question, that is what to consider when opting for a route optimization software. Okay, so any specific 3 pointers, Pascal, you can share with us.
If I understand well the question, is it why should I choose a software rather than another one? The criteria for choosing
Yeah, it is majorly around, like, there are so many different type of softwares, right? Route optimization software. So someone who, depending on their couple of conditions are there, like at what stage of my business I should be going for a route optimization software, or if I'm going for a route optimization software, what are the different criteria I should be looking into to go for, because there are some softwares who provides very basic route optimization. Some softwares are pretty complex and provides a lot of information, lot of capabilities.
Yes, I think so. What is important is you have to make sure that it will take into account your business. It will cover your business. Some business are, I would say, quite simple, but some are more complex. And all the route optimization software, they do not cover all the use case. So you have to be certain that the use case will be covered, and the important parameters settings will be there in the software to cover your business needs. If you have some high volume, you have to be sure that it will be able to manage the quantity of drivers or the quantity of stops you have, because some others can be quite good for small volume, but when the volume is higher, it can be very slow and very difficult. User interface is also important. User interface for the scheduler and also for the driver. His main business is not to use an app, is to drive and to deliver the good or to do his task. So he needs something simple, easy to use, with a high level of confidence in the tool. So yes, user interface for the driver and for the scheduler is also, according to me, very important. Yeah, that's, I think, the main some of the main aspects, and also to have a complete suite, taking into account the customer satisfaction. Also, those features are missing in some softwares, and yes, I think it's also an important point.
Right. So there are, I mean, this question, that the last question that I've mentioned here, and this is something we get for a lot of tool companies, right, who are having smaller number of drivers. I mentioned that, we have only 15 drivers and less than 5,000 monthly trips, and they ask that, do I need route optimization? Because they're doubtful whether this is something is really going to utilize or provide them the enough efficiency, or how that is going to be. So what do you see, Pascal? If there's a small setup with only 15 drivers and less than 5,000 trips monthly, do you think a route optimization capability will be helpful?
We have some on Nomadia. We have some clients that start usually from five drivers, and they can see a high level on return on investment. The costing is for Nomadia is per driver. So if you have few drivers, the cost is not very high. So I would say yes. So we have multiple examples having less than 15 drivers, because they can see some the return on investment, and we could see previously. But yes, it's a calculation to be done. Normally it's less than 15 drivers. It's I would say half a day or maximum 1 day of implementation of the tool. So usually the return on investment is quite fast, even for less than 15 drivers.
Got it. Okay. And the final question that I have is that, in AllRide, when we work with all these companies, our system supports a lot of offline capabilities, right? But then when they're working on offline capabilities, do you think that the route management can also be utilized offline? Because when we are talking about certain specific locations in African continent, or certain developing countries where the network availability is not very good, like we are working with Philippines government for a good number of their islands, right? And their islands do not have enough network capability, right? So does Nomadia or similar route optimization tools support offline function?
Yes, we have faced this challenge. So we used to have only online software a few years ago, but as we increase in business in lot of countries, and as you mentioned, the network is not sometimes is not excellent. So yes, on Nomadia, I can say we have some offline capabilities on the mobile. On the mobile app, and it's very important for some of our clients. So yes.
Okay. Wonderful. So with that, we come to the end of the presentation, and feel free to ask from the audience if there is any other question. Feel free to ask. So in this webinar, we had a discussion around route optimization, and we just talked about only route optimization. We didn't touch any other topic, because this is a pretty important topic nowadays, and this is something a lot of the businesses that we are working with at AllRide, and as Pascal has mentioned at Nomadia, we are seeing that the businesses have doubts with how to use route optimization, whether to use it, and if they do it, how it is going to be helpful. So we try to learn what route optimization is, what are the challenges it solves, right, and how it solves, how that impacts, and then we have gone through certain case studies, right. So thank you so much, Pascal. I can see there is no other question. It was wonderful to talk to you and learn about your experience working with so many different type of businesses across industries. We really love the conversation. I'm sure that our audience has also loved the conversation.
Thank you so much, Swarnendu, and thank you, Alka, for organizing this webinar. It has been a pleasure to discuss about those aspects. I am passionate with that. So looking forward to have some other opportunities in the futures, and I hope the audience had some responses to the questions. It was yes, you have learned something with this webinar. So thank you so much. It has been a pleasure, and see you soon.
Thank you so much, Pascal. Thank you, Swarnindu, and thank you all for joining this insightful and engaging webinar. It has been a pleasure to have each and every one of you here, and we truly appreciate your time and participation. We extend our gratitude to our distinguished speakers for their remarkable contributions. We are truly fortunate we have the opportunity to learn from them. So if you have any more questions, need further clarifications, or would like to explore the topic in detail, please feel free to reach out to us. We have shared the contact details here, and our dedicated team will be more than happy to assist you. Thank you once again for your presence and active participation. Goodbye until we meet again. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.